And I know that sounds crazy, but it really is true. Any of you who fly around, if you have any of those noise suppression headphones, traditionally Bose was the one on the airplane that everybody uses, but a number of companies have come out with the noise suppression headsets. You might want to, when you put those on and it eliminates all that background noise, that's what we try to do on the video call, to eliminate that background noise to make the audio quality as good as possible. What does that do to the call? Well, one of the things that does is it makes it easier to listen to the call. It's easier to be on the call for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. I've had video calls that took, sadly, 4 or 5 hours. If I had done that on a speakerphone using 3.5 kilohertz, and that's what a speakerphone typically has, I would have been drained at the end. But at the end of a 4-hour video call, while it was still tough, I was certainly not nearly as tired as I would have been on a standard audio call. Okay? Sharp high definition video from low bandwidths. One of the features that the HDX is capable of doing is, and I generally don't recommend it, but in the military you might have a requirement for it, and I think this video is primarily geared toward military folks, is the ability to do low speed calls, 128K or even 64K video calls, assuming I have an HDX system, current system on both sides, both ends. I can do a 64K video call that is amazingly good. Now, that might come in handy if you have limited bandwidth, and that limited bandwidth could be a satellite link. One of the open book type satellite links or something necessary that maybe out in the middle of a field you need to have communications. That's something that can be done with the HDX. That is probably better than any other video system out there today. Okay. High profile. I've mentioned it. I've talked about it. Obviously, I think highly of it, and I have. I was there when we first announced it at the first show in Orlando, Florida, and it was very well received. Our competitors have often said it doesn't do anything, it doesn't work, they can do just as well. Well, I can tell you I've taught many reseller certification classes, and in those classes my students talk about high profile and how it does a very good job for them. It's not perfect, it's not designed for showing movies, though at higher bandwidths you certainly could, but at a typical low bandwidth, let's say here the standard based high profile will allow for a 720p HD call at 512. That call is very good for a business type call. 2, 3, 4 people sitting around a table, it looks very good. And I've not had anyone complain about it in all my calls and in all my classes. And normally, as you know, people will complain about things much sooner than they'll compliment them, just the nature of the human way. I can actually do 720p 60 frames per second at 832 kilobits, okay? And I can do 1080p p30 at 1 meg. That 720p 60 is really, in my opinion, the sweet spot. When you get into there, the video quality, the smoothness, the motion is just phenomenally clean. Now 832 is where it starts. If I'm doing a big event, I want to have it at least at a meg if I possibly can, and then run 720p 60. If for some reason I don't quite have that much bandwidth, I can try it at 832, and if it looks good, then I'll go with it. If not, then I'll take it down to 720p 30, which still will look very good. It is high profile is the same base technology that is being used in Blu-ray and other HD broadcast capabilities. Like I said, it's not something unique to Polycom. It's actually part of the HD standard, or not HD, I'm sorry, H.264 standard in defining HD. And it works very well for us. It's available across the board on all HDX products, all current HDX products from the 4000 or 4500 all the way up through the current HDX 9000. There were some older HDXs that were sold 3 years ago that don't support high profile, but as I said, any current HDX, any new HDX will absolutely support high profile. Another thing, another capability is the RMX, our bridge tool or bridge device. That's its picture on the bottom left hand side. That happens to be an RMX 2000 image. Any of the RMXs, the RMX 1500, the RMX 2000, or the RMX 4000, they all also support high profile when they have the NPM X cards installed. Anything bought new or bought current will be using the NPM X card, so high profile will be available to you. Also, we've been using the high profile in the immersive telepresence environments in our RPX room and our OTX room. They all use high profile to enhance the video quality, and it does a beautiful job in that. If you have any opportunity, if you happen to be in the Washington, D.C. area or around any of the Polycom Solution Centers, they all have HDX or OTX, HDX, OTX, and RPX capabilities. I highly recommend you go in and get a demonstration of it. I think you'll find the video quality phenomenal. Some of the other features and capability that Polycom has brought to the marketplace is a touch control. We're not the only player out there with the touch control, certainly, and there have been Crestron and AMX controls out there for years. And the programming of those and the keeping up the software and keeping it up to date is always a concern and sometimes an issue. But Polycom has come out with their own touch control, not designed to replace necessarily AMX's. Our touch control is designed to make our system easier to use. We've also come out with something called the Eagle Eye Director that allows us to automatically direct cameras to whoever's speaking in the room. We'll talk about that in a minute. And also most recently our UC board, or our collaboration board, that allows us to actually write on the screen and have the people at the other end be able to see what's being written as part of the communications. Works very well. Polycom is the only manufacturer out there today that delivers all these capabilities from the manufacturer themselves. Certainly other vendors are capable of doing this, but they're going to bring in third-party manufacturers to do it. Let's go on to the next and take a look at the touch control. It is a small Android-based device that allows you to use swipe technology or swipe techniques to be able to go in and select what you want to be able to do, from dialing the phone to selecting someone out of the directory to even being able to send content. Okay, it connects via a cable. It is not Wi-Fi, it is not wireless, it is not Bluetooth. We did that on purpose. One of the reasons is it is powered over that Ethernet cable through PoE. The other thing is now we don't have to worry about radiation or anything like that in certain environments where they don't really allow Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or other RF mediums to be used. So we decided to use a cable to do it. Okay, it is available as a component for any HDX system today, and you just plug it in and start using it. You pair with the HDX itself, and at that point you have complete control over the HDX, and you can take this remote and take the batteries out, because they will go bad, and put it in the drawer. Okay, you shouldn't need it at that point. One of the nice features that the touch control brings to you is the ability to handle calendaring. Polycom has a feature called Polycom Calendaring Option, PCO, where it actually integrates, the HDX integrates in with the Exchange environment 2007, 2010, and allows as a meeting comes ready in a meeting room, wherever that touch control is, the actual message about that meeting coming ready will be there on the touch control, and you'll be prompted with a, do you wish to join this meeting at this time? And you just hit a button and you're in the meeting and ready to go. One of the other things that you have the ability, as I mentioned, is to be able to send content. So you can literally take a USB stick And I realize that in some military environments we're not allowed to do that, so we have other tools too. But if you are allowed to use the USB stick, you can plug it in with your presentation and have it go up on screen. That's not plugging into a computer, so maybe that is allowed. I'm not sure. It depends on your environment. Certainly check with your security people. Okay. Now, the Eagle Eye Director is a remake of technology that's been around a long time. We saw it years ago with other vendors. Someone called VTEL actually had it many years ago, a similar capability. PictureTel had it in several forms. Polycom has had it in several forms. But we always felt it was missing the mark. One of the problems that we got into with it was that if someone was speaking and they happened to be near a solid wall, and that wall would reflect their audio, the camera would actually follow that audio on the wall sometimes. And that just, wasn't very good. And so what we needed to do was figure out a way to make it better. And so we have an audio group that did a beautiful job in developing this new technology. First of all, it locates whoever's speaking in the room based on audio on an XY coordinates. Okay, and that's part of that big long arm you see on the top, helping it determine where that audio is coming from. At that point, he will then look for facial recognition. Well, a lot of things do facial recognition, but that might not be the person talking. What we actually do is look for the mouth to be moving. And when the mouth moves, then we say the audio is coming from there, the mouth is moving there, he must be the speaker, and we then zoom in on that person. And as you can see on the right-hand picture there where it says direct impact, that's where we've zoomed in on him, and he's very clear, very easy to see at that point, rather than the left side, the impersonal side, where we have what we laughingly call the bowling alley view, which we feel is not nearly as nice as that view on the right. Now what happens is, as someone speaks, the gentleman on the right, who happens to be Alan, if Alan were to speak, then what we would do is we would zoom back to a full view, very much like the impersonal view. The camera would then locate Alan and zoom in and pick him up. And once he was confident, once the camera was confident that Alan was the speaker, it would then switch the video to Alan, and you would see Alan as long as he spoke. It works very, very nicely. It's very smooth. One of the nice things about it is nobody's driving. Nobody's having to push the remote control to make sure we're seeing whoever needs to be seen in the video call, okay, who's in the room. It's very nice also in that it will plug into any of the HDX camera systems on the 6000, 7000, 8000, or 9000. Does not require anything special. It comes as a bolt-on top of the system. It will require using Eagle Eye cameras, Eagle Eye 2 or Eagle Eye 3. Those are the two required cameras. If you're not sure which ones you have, there are ways to detect that through the system. There are also in the in the admin page on your HDX, if you go into the web interface, it will tell you which Eagle Eye camera you have. If you have Eagle Eye 2s or Eagle Eye 3s, then you may only require buying one additional camera to make this work and function very nicely. And of course, you can always enable it and disable it from the remote control or the touch control. It has the ability to disable if you want to, if you'd rather manually drive the call. The UC board is a very interesting product. It comes to us fairly recently, 2011. We started implementing it. It is actually a little device that plugs onto the bottom of the screen. You can just barely see it on the picture on the right. It's the light area just under the screen. And it actually detects where somebody is writing with a special pen. And you have the ability to change colors, to draw on it, to make marks on it, to erase things, to add a new page. As soon as you pick up that pen and walk next to the screen and start writing, the system, the HDX, automatically switches into content mode and starts sending content. You don't have to push any buttons. You don't have to do anything special. You just start writing. Okay, so if you didn't have a presentation up and you just wanted to write notes on the screen so people on the other side could see these notes during your presentation, all you do is pick up the pen and start writing. The UC board actually plugs directly into the HDX via a hub, a USB hub, and there's no additional hardware other than that that's necessary. It comes complete. It's a simple plug-in. It's a